When football becomes warfare, the consequences are devastating. What makes a match descend into absolute chaos? In these 7 matches, players suffered broken bones, while referees lost complete control as stadiums transformed into scenes of true conflict. These aren't just ordinary games gone wrong, they reveal how cultural tensions and historical rivalries can ignite explosive situations. From World Cup matches requiring police intervention to derby games that sparked national emergencies, this compilation shows football's darkest moments. The most shocking part? Some players actually served jail time for what happened on the pitch, proving how quickly athletics can cross into criminal territory. The Battle of Santiago, 1962, football's descent into chaos. The 1962 World Cup in Chile was already controversial before a ball was kicked. 2 Italian journalists had published scathing articles about the host nation, describing Santiago as a backwater plagued by malnutrition, illiteracy, alcoholism, and poverty. These damning words ignited a firestorm of resentment among Chileans. National pride was wounded, and the upcoming match transformed from a sporting contest into a matter of national honor. When Chile and Italy met on June 2nd in what became known as the Battle of Santiago, tension hung heavy in the air. Just 8 minutes in, Giorgio Ferrini of Italy was sent off for a retaliatory tackle. The Italian midfielder flatly refused to leave, requiring police intervention to physically drag him from the pitch. What followed was unprecedented. Chilean Leonel Sanchez struck Umberto Macchio with a left hook that broke the Italian's nose. Remarkably, English referee Ken Aston, who would later invent yellow and red cards because of this match, missed the incident completely. Players traded punches and kicks aimed at heads rather than balls as the referee lost control. The BBC's David Coleman famously warned viewers, "The game you are about to see is the most disgraceful exhibition of football possibly in the history of the game." Chile won 2-0, but the victory was overshadowed by what many consider football's darkest day: fair play shattered on the world stage. Estudiantes vs AC Milan, 1969, when football violence led to jail time. 7 years after the Battle of Santiago, football's capacity for violence would reach unprecedented heights. The 1969 Intercontinental Cup final between European champions AC Milan and South American champions Estudiantes became the only top-level football match where players would receive actual prison sentences for their conduct. The violence employed by Estudiantes was methodical and targeted, resembling a calculated tactical strike rather than competitive play. Their primary victim was Néstor Combin, Milan's star forward who had been born in Argentina and previously represented the national team. Combin suffered multiple injuries, a broken nose, fractured cheekbone, and concussion at the hands of his countrymen. The brutality continued after the final whistle. Estudiantes players pursued their rivals into the tunnel and locker rooms, showing this was premeditated intimidation that transcended sports boundaries. Where other violent matches typically resulted in suspensions or fines, the Argentine justice system responded with unprecedented severity. 3 Estudiantes players, Ramon Aguirre Suarez, Eduardo Manera, and Carlos Pachame, were arrested and sentenced to prison terms, with Suarez receiving 3 years, marking a watershed moment in football's legal accountability. AC Milan claimed the trophy, but their triumph was hollow. Players bore physical and psychological scars from the encounter, highlighting the widening gap between football's gentlemanly origins and its increasingly ruthless professional reality. Leeds United vs Chelsea, 1970, the most brutal game in English football. As international football showcased ruthless physicality, England was brewing its own perfect storm of violence. What happens when 2 rival philosophies clash in a high-stakes final with a referee determined to let them play? The 1970 FA Cup final replay between Leeds United and Chelsea provided the disturbing answer. The match represented a collision of contrasting styles. Don Revie's Leeds embodied disciplined professionalism, employing tactical fouls with clinical precision, while Dave Sexton's Chelsea brought flamboyant flair matched with equal willingness to cross lines when needed. Like gladiators in an ancient arena, these titans unleashed unprecedented savagery on English soil. Television cameras captured moments that continue to shock football historians. Players abandoned any pretense of football. Macready's karate kick at Bremner, Hunter and Hutchinson trading blows, and Harris's calculated targeting of Gray to neutralize Leeds' creative threat through systematic fouling. Referee Eric Jennings, a product of his era's permissive standards, allowed the carnage to unfold virtually unchecked. A 2019 documentary concluded that by modern standards, Jennings should have issued 11 red cards. Instead, commentators praised robust challenges that today would spark outrage. This match marked a pivotal moment in English football's evolution. As financial incentives grew, winning superseded sportsmanship, creating a climate where boundaries could be pushed without consequence. Argentina versus England, 1966 and 1986, when geopolitics invaded the pitch. England's domestic football violence foreshadowed something more sinister internationally, when a disputed territory 8,000 miles away caused 907 deaths in a 74-day war. The subsequent football matches between Argentina and England became cultural revenge missions where the rules of sportsmanship collapsed entirely. The initial tensions emerged during the 1966 World Cup quarter-final. Argentina's captain Antonio Ratin refused to leave the field after being sent off, creating a standoff that required police intervention. In the aftermath, England's manager Alf Ramsey took the unprecedented step of preventing his players from swapping shirts with their opponents, reportedly calling the Argentinians animals. This diplomatic insult solidified a growing animosity between the nations. 16 years later, the 1982 Falklands War, known in Argentina as the Malvinas conflict, transformed this athletic rivalry into something akin to battlefield combat. By the 1986 World Cup quarter-final, Argentine players openly declared the match as revenge for the Malvinas. The culmination was Maradona's infamous Hand of God goal, deliberately punching the ball into England's net. For Argentinians, this represented justified retribution, a nation overcoming a historical adversary by any means necessary. Minutes later, Maradona's legitimate goal of the century showcased football's dual evolution, brilliant skill alongside calculated deception. The Battle of Nuremberg, 2006, when the referee lost complete control. Football's transformation from competitive sports to high-stakes business reached a breaking point on June 25, 2006, when Portugal and the Netherlands shattered disciplinary records in what became known as the Battle of Nuremberg. This World Cup round of 16 match saw Russian referee Valentin Ivanov issue an unprecedented 16 yellow cards and 4 red cards, the most in any World Cup match in history. As the match progressed, Ivanov struggled to maintain control, while both teams employed increasingly cynical tactics. The field gradually emptied as Portugal's Costinha and Deco joined Netherlands' Khalid Boularus and Giovanni van Bronckhorst in receiving red cards. Even both coaches received bookings as the match deteriorated into calculated chaos. The volume of fouls reflected their tactical nature. Both teams executed sophisticated strategies of rotational fouling, like moves in a high-stakes chess game, deliberately targeting star players while distributing infractions across the team to avoid individual suspensions. This systematic approach to rule-breaking demonstrated how winning had become paramount at any cost. The match created an impossible situation for officials, evidenced by FIFA President Sepp Blatter's extraordinary post-match criticism of Ivanov, stating the referee himself deserved a yellow card for his performance. This unprecedented rebuke highlighted the conflicting pressures of World Cup knockout stages. With millions in revenue at stake, both teams prioritized results over sportsmanship, reflecting football's transformation into a business where financial incentives outweighed fair play. El Clasico rivalries, 2011 to 2012, psychological warfare and tactical violence. While World Cup matches showed how national teams would sacrifice fair play for glory, nothing would match the calculated hostility that emerged when Barcelona and Real Madrid met between 2011 and 2012. When these Spanish giants collided 4 times in just 18 days, football witnessed something unprecedented: systematic violence designed in boardrooms and executed on the pitch with clinical precision. The rivalry resembled a pressure cooker of strategy and emotion, building tensions across multiple fronts simultaneously. In boardrooms, Madrid crafted specific tactical approaches targeting Barcelona's strengths, particularly deploying players like Pepe as enforcers to disrupt Barcelona's attacking flow through aggressive challenges rather than defensive skill. This calculated approach erupted most visibly during the 2011 Spanish Super Cup when Jose Mourinho physically attacked Barcelona's assistant Tito Vilanova, jabbing a finger into his eye during a touchline confrontation. This moment, broadcast globally, demonstrated how the rivalry had deteriorated to staff assaults. The psychological warfare operated seamlessly between pitch and press room. Mourinho manipulated narratives by questioning referee impartiality and Barcelona's methods, while Guardiola countered with his own strategic statements. This integrated campaign of verbal sparring and physical intimidation created an environment where aggression became the primary language of competition, fundamentally changing how these prestigious clubs engaged. Galatasaray versus Fenerbahce, when Derby Day becomes a national emergency. While psychological warfare dominated El Clasico, the Istanbul derby between Galatasaray and Fenerbahce represents something far more alarming, a rivalry where military-level security operations have become essential just to stage a football match. This confrontation transcends sport, reflecting deep-seated cultural divisions that transform ordinary citizens into combatants defending their team's honor. The 2013 derby reveals the depth of this hostility. Despite authorities allowing only 40,000 women and children to attend after banning male fans, the stadium erupted with flares and pitch invasions, proving the animosity transcends gender demographics. This rivalry's gravity became tragically evident in 1996, when Fenerbahce supporter Çiğat Aktaş was fatally stabbed by Galatasaray fans. What began as sporting competition had crystallized into tribal identity worth dying for. Ironically, as both clubs evolved into modern commercial enterprises with international signings, the fervor intensified. Foreign players regularly express shock, unprepared for matches where football stadiums transform into fortified compounds. The Turkish Football Federation imposes substantial fines, while media coverage often amplifies tensions. Each derby demands security protocols befitting diplomatic summits, with police deployed throughout Istanbul. A sporting event that has metastasized into a matter of national security. As we've witnessed through these infamous matches, the beautiful game has undergone a profound transformation. The battle lines drawn on pitches worldwide reflect football's complex evolution from sporting pastime to global industry. Professionalization has intensified on-field aggression, but regulatory progress offers hope. FIFA and UEFA now deploy stricter rules, penalties, and video technology, while fair play campaigns raise awareness of health impacts. The fundamental tension persists. Football commands billions in revenue while embodying cultural identities, creating a dangerous boundary between passion and violence. The sport stands at a crossroads, its transformation reflecting both its enduring power and its greatest vulnerability, much like the players who risk everything on the pitch. As you can see, football matches can sometimes erupt into violence, casting a shadow over the beautiful game. But every now and then we are reminded by moments of outstanding singular brilliance as to why we love this incredible sport. Check out this next video, where we showcase truly 5-star performances from some of the greatest players to ever grace the pitch.